Hey everybody, Asher here, back with some more Kerbal Space Program, where we are going to be going to Duna. But first, I just want to tell you all that I've managed to pick up a few new contracts since we finally got there, including orbiting Ike, which of course the World First Record Keeping Society wants that. They don't care about me orbiting or doing anything with Duna. But we also got Planetary on Duna, which is great because we're going to be doing that anyway. So that softens the blow a little bit for our two satellite missions that will not be paying us about $500,000 Kerbal Space bucks, but I have years and years to get those in there, so it won't take too long. However, the big profit centers are going to be the surface outpost on Duna and the surface outpost on Ike. But you can notice that we're actually, look at our money situation, 21,569. That's because I finally upgraded the R&D to the last level, and I did that in part so I could get advanced science tech, so I can get some better experiments and start getting some fuel. And that's for future-looking missions, especially if it so happens that I need to do a rescue mission to Duna. We're just going to go ahead and start where we left off last time, which is the Duna Behemoth, the only big thing floating around Duna that isn't a moon right now. 280 tons, and it's going to actually start to shed some weight here in just a minute as we start to work on our landings. Alright, so here's the Behemoth in all of its real-time glory, with the sunrise coming up on Duna just a little bit here. We have a few things that we need to start taking care of, such as there's Ike, and we're going to be wanting to land on Ike as well. And if we look at our crew manifest, there's already one thing that I can kind of go uh-oh about, and that is very simply that how many pilots do I have on this mission? Jebediah is a pilot. Ronnie is a scientist. Chad Hat, I think, is a pilot. Valera is not a pilot. Alstead might be a pilot. Valentina is a pilot. I think I'm a pilot short of what I want to do. Unless I do the down and return and then send somebody to stay on Ike for quite some time. So we'll see how that goes. But first thing is going to be first. We are actually going to be trying our best to actually land a ship onto here. So who do we currently have? There's the service bay. Who do we currently have in here crew-wise? I'm not entirely sure. If we go ahead and just do a EVA... Valentina is our current pilot in here, which is good. So Valentina, it looks like you get to be the one to actually land on Duna. Let's see if we can do an EVA report. Space high over Duna. I believe I already have that, so we may need to ditch that science in just a little bit. That means that the only other person we need to have landing on right now is Bob. So Bob, let's have you EVA over. Unfortunately, Bob, you are on the complete other side. You know what, Bob? This means we're going to need somebody else in that actual pod eventually here. So let's go ahead and just let go. Like I said, our goal today is actually to land on that sucker over there. I have a ground station that I want to land, and I have a other thing I want to land. But we got to actually get in the door first, which means we got to actually fly over here. So there's always some fun to be had with some EVA maneuvers, or hopefully we don't crash into things too badly. But if you remember this ship, and I apologize again for the frozen video in one of the prior recordings here. Let's just make sure first off. I don't think he can actually open the service. Oh, he can open the service bay out here. Let's make sure all of our experiments are reset. I think we're going to be okay. And this will test to make sure that all of our sciencing will be in order here. We are going to have to shut this before long, but let's go in and take a look. You can do it, Bob. There we go. Okay. So if we observe the materials bay and space high over Duna, I think we already have that. So let's just... We can always try and transmit the data. That'll render it inoperable, I know. And then all we have to do is have Bobby Bob restore it. We just get him right back in there. Restore. There we go. And that's always, I like to do that just to make sure, okay, you are the science guy, right? Okay, so fun part's over. Let's go ahead and get our crew of 2 to be the first people to possibly set foot down on Duna. Now, the way that we're going to do this, right now we are in a highly elliptical orbit. And I'm not particularly inclined to try and circularize my orbit, but if we look at the fuel situation on this lander right now, this is one of the things that has all the fuel, and I'm not going to be worrying about transferring any fuel. We want to have as much fuel as possible on this. So all we're going to do here is just go ahead anytime now and we are not even going to worry about decoupling. We're just going to undock. Yay. And suddenly we have a new ship on the horizon here, and it will be dubbed if we just right click on the right part here. These are, notice all the parachutes. We're going to need all the parachutes here. Let's rename the vessel to the Duna Lander No Probies. Yeah, it's probably, I'm sure there's some great serious mission name that I could put on here, but for now we're just going to deal with the fact that we don't have a ton of monopropellant fuel on the ship. If we look at our fuel situation, we have enough. We just don't have a ton. So let's just go ahead and back it up first. We already have a little bit of a rotation here. And this is because we are actually going to be burning in a way that will try and get us out of the way of this ship. So right now I'm not even quite rotated correctly, but it doesn't really matter too much. Let's see what we're actually doing to our periapsis right now. We're actually going up and to the side just a little bit here. So maybe we could do one orbit and then bring ourselves a little bit further down, because like I said before, I am going to be doing a very, very nice aerocapture. That's what I tell myself, it's going to be a very nice aerocapture. We just don't want to do this in a way where the ships are actually going to run into each other. So we actually have to maneuver ourselves out of the way. Now, I've had some people tell me before that the most efficient way to actually do the landing is to try and slow down from the periapsis. So that's what I'm going to do this time. The one downside is that I'm really hoping this is not going to be a night Duna landing. I mean, how I've done it in the past is slowing down from the apoapsis and then falling down here, but I can see mathematically why that might not be ideal. So now that I think we're sufficiently out of the way, let's just do a... Let's go ahead and turn to the prograde vector. And this is all taking its dear sweet time because we have ships passing each other right now, but won't take us too long. Like I said, I'm probably just going to go ahead and drop this down into aerocapture range, see if we can bring things down a little bit further, and then do it again. Hopefully once these ships aren't in the same area as each other, we won't have to deal too much with all the lag. Alright, so that's not the marker I'm looking for. Let's control from here. Yeah, it's definitely not the marker I'm looking for. Alright. Well, this will do. Slow down orbit just a little bit. Notice how much slower the orbital velocity is around Duna. I mean, it makes sense. Duna has a much lower gravity, actually 1/3 of the gravity of Kerbin, but it's comparable in mass. It's not the same mass by any stretch, but it's comparable in mass. Alright, so we'll just do a quick little burn. Actually, we are not facing the right way with that ship at all, but there we go. Quick little burn here. Make sure our engines are actually activated here. Oh, that's right. They're actually turned off. Gotta remember all these things. Activate. Activate. Activate and activate. And you as well. So this is the thing that has a lot of different engines, and I really should have put these solar panels on action groups, but I didn't. That would just make all these things a lot easier. But I'm really trying to be careful about the parachutes. I do not want these parachutes to go down too early. But let's just go ahead and this time decelerate orbit just a little bit, and this will get us away from the other ship as well. So right now, 38. See if we can take it a little bit lower. Yeah, let's do 32. I just want to bring this apoapsis down a little bit. See if we can get around the sunny side pretty well. Said I just really do not want to do a nighttime landing if I can avoid it. I mean, I probably do have enough fuel to make it all the way down here. Let me actually just pause real quick because I want to check and make sure. Alright, so the recording is all set. Everything is a go, and I think what I'm going to do here is, since we're just going to be going for a more severe aerocapture, and I really don't want to just land in the dark here, we're just going to put this down even further. So 20, 18, 17. That should get us all the way down easily. Alright, now the thing that I've heard before is just if you have like an airless atmosphere, you might as well burn from the periapsis here, but the atmosphere is actually going to do a lot of work to slow us down. So we're going to let this recharge, and we'll bring this back in as we go. There goes the behemoth. Now not quite as much of a behemoth here. This lander is only 50 tons, and I did test it before in Kerbin. It does have the power and the fuel right now to make it into pretty much orbit, at least escape the atmosphere, which is all we really need. Is there's actually really nice view of the cloudscape moving around also nicely. There's some great mods that are out there, and this is just such a pretty view right now. It's really too bad that we're just going to have to go ahead and put our Kerbal germs and sort of take this nice, quiet, nobody's ever really explored here environment and do experiments for science. Which, once again, I got to remind myself, somebody needs to be in the science bay on the Duna orbiter. Now, we're going to have plenty of science to be had from our landing station, so that's okay. But right now, first thing is first, I just want to see. We already have, are we in low orbit yet? No, space high over. So let's reset. Now, we're not going to be doing any EVAs from low orbit in the atmosphere. But the atmosphere doesn't start till 50,000, so we should be there in just a little bit. Did I already put up the... no, I didn't. I was about to say, I'm pretty certain I did not put up these yet, so I probably should do that momentarily. Crew report. Space near Duna. I'll just keep that. Quick EVA from Valentina, because why not the pilot? EVA report. Keep it in board. Alright. So we're pretty good, and I just want to go ahead and review the stored data that we have here. Space just above Duna's midlands and space high over Duna. We don't need to worry too much about space high over Duna. Let's actually go ahead and transmit it. We have the charge. I think we have the communication device on here. Yes, we do. Alright, so we got plenty of power. We got 40 science from that, and let's just go ahead and keep this as well. Alright, so if all else fails, we're at 90,000 meters. Our power is going back up. We just want our solar panels to go ahead and do their thing. You'll notice that the solar panels are not quite as effective as they are around Kerbin. That's by design with the most recent patches, one of the fixed patches. Some people say, "When the patch broke the atmosphere," but in fact, one thing it did fix is that now solar panels don't work, are not nearly as effective around other places. So one other thing that we can do right now while we're here is just go ahead and try and collect some orbital science that we can reset. Because we're now in flight. Actually, no, this is a really bad idea. Because the atmosphere is going to start eating us for lunch here in just a second. So upper atmosphere, this is risky. Keep it. Goobay. Keep it. One more experiment. Somewhere, I can't really see it very well. Atmosphere analysis. Keep it. Log temperature. Keep it. Close the bay. Because we have our SAS off right now. Once again, we're banking on the fact that the atmosphere is not going to be thick enough to blow this up. And I really hope that's correct. So another crew report. I should have stored it and put it back in. It's going to be harder to get a crew report from the upper atmosphere, so let's go ahead and keep the data for now. We can move that later. So here is our ship. It's going to be at the Mercy, and I really hope that this backside here is the heavier part. It should be. That's how I designed it. And I could have put ablative heat shields down here. If I could have another crack at designing this, that's probably what I'd do. But we're over Duna's Midlands right now. It's looking pretty good for landing on the daylight side. I really don't want to have my first Duna landing video in the modern KSP era. I did have a video from like 0.23, but notice the valleys and everything right here. It's pretty cool. But we should be able to slow down here substantially in just a moment. So we get our nice music. Let's look at the IVA view. There is Duna from Valentina's perspective. Like I said, we're going for a pretty aggressive burn, and right now we're looking at a nice afternoon landing, and I hope it stays that way. We're gonna not fire our rockets until we're well down into the atmosphere pretty well. So here we go. Orienting correctly. I'm debating turning on the SAS, but I don't really think I need to. 20,000 is when we should start seeing the fire. We got the clouds up above. And we're not going as fast as we were before, but you can see our orbit degrading pretty damn quickly here. So for some reason we skipped through the atmosphere going this deep, and I don't expect to. Our radar altitude is still just fine as it should be. Like I said, I'm trying to be pretty aggressive here, but I don't want to spend 1,000 units, 1,000 delta V worth of fuel just to make this happen. We got our slowdown, so here comes the fire. Alright. Any moment this should be okay. I want to try and do this as live commentary as I can. So right now our apoapsis is degrading nice and quickly, so that's good. There we go. Now we're on fire. Said I did a very aggressive entry here. I just hope these engines don't blow up. That would be less than ideal. Because right now we have used a tiny bit of fuel. But we are slowing down fairly substantially. We got actually some good pop in from the lower atmosphere, so that's good. And our apoapsis is degrading very quickly, so the hope is that within a minute we'll be down here, and that's what it's looking like is going to happen. I don't want to land on this side. That could be what happens. Well, we might be able to slam the space brakes here soon enough. I didn't actually put air brakes on here. There's some aerodynamic stuff that I haven't researched that may have worked out pretty well here if I had put air brakes on, because air brakes are super effective in this game. Maybe more effective than you might expect, but 300,000, we're only flying now, and we're going through clouds from another planet. We'll review all the science data when we get there, and that'll be nice and good. But radar altitude still looks good. Valentina's happy. Bob's even doing pretty good. Bob is okay. I guess Bob's not the quickest one to rush to panic. But here is our final descent. We have tons of parachutes ready to fly. They will catch on fire and explode right now if I do that. Our map is still looking good. Apoapsis going down really quickly. Periapsis looks like we're going to be landing probably somewhere around there. So as long as it is somewhere in the daylight side, I'm happy, because we're going to hit the thick, meaty part of the atmosphere before long. And I really hope that doesn't blow up this vessel. But yeah, we do have a little bit of a system slowdown here. You can see why our surface altitude is just going so much slower. So 12,000 meters and degrading. It looks like we're getting a midlands landing of some kind. Alright. Right now it's a 45-second burn to decelerate. We can do better than that. Now we got some good deceleration. That's good. It's actually going at a pretty reasonable rate. So far, no heat indicators that everything's about to explode. I hope it stays that way. So it's pretty risky to not put heat shields on this, but once again, I'm banking on the fact that Duna's atmosphere is 1/5 the density of Kerbin's atmosphere. So hopefully that doesn't. Hopefully that comes into play just a little bit, as we have the end of the daylight side coming over here, and we are officially going in for a crash landing now, guys. Hang on to your hats. We are going to be landing somewhere on Duna today, which I guess is the idea, right? And it looks like we're going to have a daylight landing too, so that is quite the relief. Alright, assuming of course we don't explode right now, which is a pretty serious assumption here. Now the other thing is that I really want to make sure my ship's not on fire, and it is really hard to tell right now, because if I deploy the chutes too late, I'm just going to crash. As there's an awkward view. Our radar altitude is still pretty high, but our speed is degrading at a good pace. Can't believe I put probies. That's why we don't put Bob in charge of the title here. He's just, I'm so tired. There's supposed to be probes here. They're supposed to pay my pension. Alright, so I think we're not on fire. So we can probably start to let the atmosphere start to rest us in a little bit. Maybe time to start deploying some lander legs as well. I'm going to wait until we're in the lower atmosphere here. But still, some very nice views. Interesting how the IVA view is not nearly as lagged out as this one, but I guess that's not too much of a surprise. So here we go, just flying through the cloudscape. Currently landing right over here. Doesn't look like we have any geological features that are going to pop up. You'd be surprised what pops up on Duna and smashes your ship at 10,000 meters, which is kind of another good analog to, or parallel to Mars in real life, where there's just some mountains that are gargantuan. Although there were a lot of questions about, is Mars geologically active? Oh, there's the space station, or there is the Behemoth up there, so we actually have good communications with it. Hooray, if we look at it on the map, it's just passing right over us like, hey guys, I heard you were falling into the planet, I hope you're okay. So our surface speed is dwindling quite fast. How long do we have until we get here? About 1:18. Pretty exciting. Might not be 1:18 real time. But yeah, we are definitely not on fire now, so that is a positive. Does that mean we can deploy the parachutes? Maybe. Does that mean we can deploy the legs? I think it's time to deploy the landing gears. Yay, they're pointed in the right direction. I've had missions destroy themselves before because that was not what happened. So we can rotate just a little bit towards our actual orientation. And we're actually going into the lower atmosphere, and we have kind of some dusty cloud storms as well, so that's pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and fire the parachutes. Fire all the parachutes, maybe? I just do not want to decouple, is the thing. So here's these. And then that's slowing us down pretty well. Let's fire the rest of them. Alright. You'll notice I have a lot of parachutes on this ship. You're going to see that I'm still going to have to do some kind of deceleration burn here. So where's our radar altitude at? Right now it's pretty good. We don't need the SAS on, but yes, I am the king of caution when it comes to landing on such a low pressure atmosphere, because these parachutes don't do a ton. I just don't want them to rip the ship apart as well, which is why I have so many. Right now, none of them are completely deploying. We're actually starting to get about 2,000 meters up. We're going to be landing in some ridges, so let's go ahead and do a deceleration burn. Yes, I know I have parachutes out and I'm still decelerating. We have parachutes that are actually deployed and I'm still doing a deceleration burn. Welcome to Duna. Alright. And how are we doing towards the surface, guys? 60, 50, 40. There we go. Notice we're still accelerating. Notice we're only about 400 meters up. More fuel than I'd like to use, but we'll make it work. Alright, do we got it? The gravity is still going to be kind of a killer here. I'm not even looking at the surroundings here, I'm just looking at the nav ball. Okay, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6. We're down. We're down and we are stable. Stable touchdown on Duna, I think. Our landing legs okay? Landing legs look okay. We have landed on Duna successfully. All right. That is called a good mission. Now, granted, look at how much fuel we had to use to actually stop some of that drop here with that many parachutes. And you'll see I did use 4 landing legs here. I'm kind of glad for that. But we can't necessarily store all of the experiments here, but we can possibly do some. So let's go ahead, get Valentina to EVA first. Actually, she can go ahead and take this data board as well. Do another crew report. And actually, we can get out everything as well, so that's really exciting. I'm actually a little adrenaline pushed right now, which is I don't know if it shows here, but this is such a fantastic view where I don't want to hit Control Z because it will make things lift off, and that is not good. But we have our antenna stretching out as well, like a little bit of part clipping. But all right, Valentina, I just love these clouds. Makes it look so different than the last time I landed here, especially with the afternoon. So EVA report. I think we already have while flying over Duna's midlands, so maybe not. Alright, so Valentina, step on down. And then how did I plan this? Yeah, just like that. Well, we'll do it that way. Over to the side, it's how the ladders are supposed to work. And if we have gravity similar to the moon here, oh, there's Valentina, super happy. We'll take a screenshot like this. There we go. From Duna. All right. Let's get Bob out here. Bob's gonna have some sciencing work to do. And I hope the SAS turning off doesn't actually destroy this ship right now, because I'm a little wary about trying to collect some science data from those modules without the pilot in there, because it has a tendency to get knocked over. So here we go. And since Duna is a lot like the moon, so we actually have this here, you should be able to jump up pretty well. So there's Bob being all excited. There's Valentina. Group shot. Alright. One little dance is good. So there is the Duna lander. No probesies. And they're all just very happy talking to mission control. Let's plant that flag. And we still have some sciencing to do. Let's see, our first on foot, not the last. We'll just put it like that because this is only the tip of the iceberg for this entire mission. So let's see, we have a surface sample as well. Unable to satisfy your curiosity, you attempt to drill the rock with your tool. You're thinking it would be a lot easier if you had some kind of pulsating drill on a robotic arm. That's new science information. So this is really important science data that we'll hopefully be able to do some stuff with. But let's go ahead. We have a lot of other experiments to run as well that Bob should be able to reset. So let's go ahead and get Valentina back up there. All right, and climb. There we go. I'm glad that worked very well. I know I kind of BS'd it there, but so board. And we can turn the SAS back on now, which is going to be important because I'm worried that Bob bouncing around up here trying to get into this module is going to be an issue. So let's go ahead and see if we can return some data here right away, or if we're going to have some serious problems and knock this over. And Bob is the reason we need a rescue mission. Although we're not going to be trying to launch back straight away. So let's go ahead and turn RCS on, fly upwards against the force of gravity. So see, at least this is pretty soupy compared to Kerbin. So all we gotta do is get kind of over here. One of the issues is that I really have to not get tangled in the decoupler right now. All right, so that didn't work out. We gotta go on both sides, Bob. Got to. So sidestep shuffle. There we go. Nice thing is that at least I have practically unlimited EVA propellant. So as long as we can fight the force of gravity, we should be okay. Up. Up, up, up. There we go. That's exactly how they taught you in flight school. Collect the materials, remove data. So this is all upper atmosphere data, and then we can restore it. Let's take this data. Upper atmosphere. We can get the goo canister, collect data. I think the only thing I didn't do is that scan, which I'm not sure I can do in space anyway. So restore. Much science. And then log the temperature. Or let's take the data. And can I actually reach this? Run atmospheric analysis. Yeah, we don't want to do that yet. Yeah, we can't take the seismic data there, so let's... Oh, nope. Add seismic data. And what do we have? The sensors gives insight into seismic activity of Duna. Well, there we go. All right. So at least we missed the one that we can't do from space, and now Bob's just got to do this whole jump thing one more time. So down you go. Still fun to run around on Duna, especially with RCS packs, and especially when you get to roll around like an idiot, because that's fun. But yeah, good stuff. We're going to be continuing this in the coming time as we have our first pretty dramatic landing. We have another, I think what I would almost call a more difficult landing in store because of the potential for a... Well, I know I have one pilot on the ship. I just got to double check and see who my pilots are. But for some reason, I am a pilot short for my team. Okay, so anytime I bump into this, I'm just going to go down. So we've got to use a lot of that propellant. Okay, up, up, up. There we go. Don't you fall. All right, so download the data. And then if we run the atmospheric analysis again, we'll just go ahead and keep that. The atmosphere of Dune is very thin, very thin. It might be possible to fly in it with a large enough wings and a fast enough aircraft. So hey, at least it does have an atmosphere. And then we want our we want to take this data. I guess we don't have to worry about resetting it too much. So there we go. Bob can now go back in and take a break. They brought plenty of snacks, and now the biggest thing is waiting for the rest of mission control to get the rest of the stuff down on Duna. So that's what we're going to do. Get some things down on Duna, get some things down on Ike. But you know what? At least we have one successful landing mission. I'm pretty sure I have enough fuel to get them back into orbit and get them back to the Behemoth. But if not, like I said, we'll just have to see kind of what happens here. But let's run some more experiments since we're on the surface here. So log the pressure data. And all we're going to do is just keep these, because this lander is actually going to be reattaching back to the mothership and be going back to Kerbin, so we can transfer all of this off to the space station or wherever. There's no science module on here. So the sample computer processes results. It's a massive red eye seems to be at home here as it slowly ominously blinks. That's nice. All right, so we have lots and lots and lots of data, which is pretty cool. Log the temperature. Recorded temperature data from the environment. Let's actually toggle temperature display. Whoa, 197.58. I hope that's Kelvin. I'm pretty sure it's Celsius. So, well, we are in the daytime, so we review this data one more time. So that's from Duna's Midlands, and we do already have this. So we'll just go ahead and might as well keep all the data as well. But hey, that's it. This is Asher, Kerbal Space Program. We've landed on Duna, Part 1. And if we go back to mission control, you're going to see here that while we have one thing landed, we've got some significant work to do back on the Behemoth, which now weighs which now is not quite the lag fest that it used to be, but we're going to have to figure out how much fuel we actually need to make the landing. And if we look right now, we're going to have to go around another roundabout, but it's only 228.97 tons. So maybe we can make it work. But that's it for now. This is Asher. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time where we're going to land more stuff on Duna. Promise. Take care.